Have you ever wondered how easily innocence can be stolen? It began on a silent, moonless night in the quiet town of Hamelin. A night so dark the shadows themselves seemed to breathe. The streets, usually peaceful, were overrun with rats. Black, swollen, diseased creatures scurrying silently, their tiny feet scratching softly against the cobblestones. But these weren't ordinary pests. They move as one, guided by a single sinister purpose. In desperation, the townsfolk pleaded for salvation, praying for someone, anyone, to free them from the plague. And then, as if conjured by their very despair, a stranger appeared. The Piper. He stood tall, his frame thin but commanding, cloaked in fabric darker than midnight. In his pale, delicate hands, he carried a flute carved from bone, an instrument that whispered promises and threats in equal measure. No one knew his name or his origins, yet they felt compelled to trust him, desperate for relief. "I can free you from your suffering," he promised, his voice smooth and irresistible. "All I ask is that you honor your word when the deed is done." The people agreed eagerly, too blind with fear to question the price of their safety. When night fell again, he played. His melody was hauntingly beautiful, echoing through the town like a gentle poison, luring every rat from every corner and crevice. They gathered around him, mesmerized, enchanted, their beady eyes reflecting the Piper's cruel smile. With purposeful steps, he led the vermin toward the river at the edge of Hamelin. Without hesitation, the rats plunged into the dark waters, driven by the Piper's spell, drowning one by one, their lifeless bodies swept away into oblivion. Hamelin rejoiced. Their nightmare was over, or so they thought. Days passed quietly, and the town returned to its routines. But beneath the calm surface, something sinister lingered. Children spoke of dreams filled with music, of melodies that pulled at their hearts, of shadows whispering their names. Then, exactly 1 week later, on another moonless night, Hamelin awoke to silence. Every child was gone, their beds empty, their doors wide open. Small footprints led from each home towards the forest, the same dark forest into which the Piper had disappeared. The townsfolk panicked, searching frantically, their screams echoing uselessly into the dense, unresponsive woods. As fear gripped Hamelin tighter than ever, a horrifying realization took root. The Piper's revenge had only just begun. Hamelin was gripped by a terror unlike any they had known before. Parents ran into the woods, calling desperately for their children, only to be met by eerie silence and the mocking whispers of the wind. As days turned into weeks, hope dwindled, replaced by guilt and despair. Rumors spread among the townsfolk. Some claimed to hear distant melodies drifting through the trees at night. Others spoke of shadowy figures glimpsed between the branches, watching silently with cold, unblinking eyes. Fear consumed the once peaceful town, driving neighbors apart, fostering suspicion and madness. But deep within the forest, hidden from the desperate search parties, the children walked on, guided endlessly by the Piper's music. Their eyes glazed, their feet sore and bleeding, yet unable to stop, trapped in a trance-like state from which there was no escape. The Piper led them to an ancient cavern deep underground, hidden beneath the roots of the oldest trees. Here, darkness ruled, pierced only by faint glows of phosphorescent fungi. The cavern walls echoed with the haunting melody, reverberating through the very bones of the children, binding their souls tighter to the piper's spell. In this forgotten place, time ceased to exist. Days blended into nights, reality warped, and slowly, the children began to change. Their innocence eroded, replaced by hollow stares and ghostly whispers, shadows of the vibrant souls they once were. The piper watched, his smile growing darker as his terrible vengeance took shape. He had given the townsfolk every chance, and now their children would pay the price. Meanwhile, the people of Hamelin, broken by grief and guilt, decided to confront their nightmare. Gathering their courage, they ventured once more into the woods, determined to reclaim their children. But the forest had changed. Paths twisted impossibly, shadows stretched into monstrous forms, and whispers mocked their every step. Driven by desperation, they pressed on, guided by faint echoes of the piper's melody. Finally, the townsfolk reached the cavern's entrance, its maw gaping wide, darkness beckoning them inside. The melody intensified, pulling them forward, irresistible and terrifying. "Enter," whispered a voice, echoing softly, seductive yet deadly. "Come and reclaim your children, if you dare."